Good morning, students. Welcome to the lecture of Real Analysis 1. In today's lecture, we will start with a recall of what we have studied in the previous lecture. In previous lecture, we have studied some important concepts where the first concept tells us that the total derivative obtained of a given function at point C in the direction u is nothing but the directional derivative. That is numerical value of total derivative and directional derivative are same. Now, though the numerical values are same, the behavior of both the derivative is different. We have seen in the last lecture, correct? No, this directional derivative gives us the local behavior of a function in a straight line only. That of total derivative gives us the local behavior of the function in the neighborhood, correct? As it is giving us the behavior in the neighborhood, this will imply the continuity, and that we have proved as the next theorem, that whenever the function f is differentiable, then it is continuous at C. Later we are going to change the notation of the total derivative. What is the notation we were using for the total derivative? This is TC is the symbol we were using, correct? Now, in order to just resemble with the original notation of f dash of C, we were going to change the symbol from TC of V to f dash of C again. To TC of V to f dash of C again. That's why we were writing this as TC of V is equal to f dash of C operated on V. Last theorem we have studied in the lecture is total derivative is expressed in terms of the partial derivative. Okay, and we have proved that this is exactly as f dash of C operated on V is summation k equals to 1 to n V k dkfc, where dkf operated on C is nothing but the partial derivative. Correct? No?
Yes, ma'am.
And we have seen the particular case as well. Whenever m is equal to 1, m is equal to 1 means what? Whenever f is defined to be a real valued function, if we put the value of m is equal to 1 here, then the function will be defined on a subset S of an n-dimensional space to real numbers. If it is defined to real numbers, it will be a multivariable real valued function. That is the value of m, in particularly it will be m equal to 1. In that case, this total derivative is given by del fc dot v. Total derivative is given by del fc dot v. This is what we have seen in the last lecture. Any difficulty up to this?
No, ma'am.
Now we will move towards today's lecture, in which we are going to understand how to find out the total derivative actually. Because though we have seen the definition of total derivative, though we have seen it is expressed in terms of partial derivative, also we have seen that this gives us the continuity as well, but we have not seen exactly how the total derivative could be found out. Okay, just give a minute. This pen tablet is not working. Yes, now it is working. Okay, so for now the question arises how to find out the total derivative exactly, correct? Now the question is how to find out, or how to find total derivative of a function. What is the type of function? It is of the type Rn to Rn. That is multivariable, multi-valued function. Okay, this is the question. Why this is the question? because whatever this we have defined, f dash of c operated on v, this is given by or it is expressed in terms of the partial derivative. But the question arises how to find out partial derivative of bkfc. This is also a question, no? Okay, first we'll try to understand the nature of the function. As the function is defined from Rn to Rn, means it is the vector on which we are going to operate our function here is an n-tuple vector. Therefore, if I say f is operated on x, then x must be an n-tuple vector. And let me write the n-tuple vector to be some x1, x2 up to xn. Is it okay? What is the resultant? Here x belongs to Rn, right? No? Now what should be a resultant f of x? F of x should belongs to an m-dimensional spaces, Rm. Therefore, what should be the resultant? The resultant should be of the type f1 or f1 of x I'll write. f1 of x, f2 of x, 2 up to fm of x. And what about these functions fi? These are the functions defined from Rn to R. Means every function, rather these functions are called as the coordinate functions. These functions are called as coordinate functions, and no doubt these functions are real valued functions. These functions are real valued functions. Therefore, if the function is of this type, that is, f can be represented with an m-tuple vector f1, f2 up to fn, where every individual coordinate function is a multivariable real valued function. Therefore, a question arises how to find out the partial derivative. Can anyone tell me how to find out the partial derivative of this function with respect to kth variable? Do anyone have an idea? Suppose I want to differentiate partially with respect to xk, kth variable of the given vector. Then how can we find? F is defined like this. Surely dkf can be obtained by taking partial derivative of individual coordinate function. That is dkf1, correct? dkf1, dkf2, right? No? dkf1, dkf2, so on up to dkfm. Therefore, this is what a partial derivative can be found. No doubt at the point C. I forgot to write. At the point C, at the point C, and at the point C. Okay. And if we look at the statement of total derivative, here it was told us that it is given as the partial derivative. It is expressed in terms of partial derivative. But every partial derivative itself is an n-tuple vector. Every partial derivative dk of a function at the point C is an m-tuple vector. Is an n-tuple vector. Therefore, a question arises actually how to find out this total derivative of a given function, right? Therefore, the answer to this question was given by a mathematician Jacobian. The first time the answer for this question was given by the mathematician Jacobian. I think all of you are familiar with the Jacobian.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what you have heard about Jacobian? Which theorem, which example, what theory you have studied in case of Jacobian? Yes? Do you know the full name of this mathematician? Because he is the first man who has given exactly how to represent the total derivative of the given function. Let me write his full name. The full name is Carl Gustav Jacobi. Jacobi, and he was a German mathematician. His life tenure is 10 December 1804 to 18 Feb 1851, and he is famous for many theorems, many concepts he has drawn. Okay, for I think one method you know of solving partial derivatives, na, Jacobi's method. Correct, no? He is famous for Jacobi's method. Now in this syllabus, we are going to study Jacobian matrix. We are going to study Jacobian matrix, which is nothing but the total derivative, the Jacobian matrix, right? Okay, why it was, why he thought that the total derivative is given in terms of matrix form? Because here we have in all m functions, we have in all m functions, where those m functions are differentiated with respect to n variables. Therefore, how many partial derivatives are going to arise? Okay, see what I'm saying? There are in all m functions, correct? No? Where every function is differentiated with respect to n variables. Therefore, how many partial derivatives are going to be possible? For one function, yes. For one function, there are n derivatives. Therefore, for m functions, we have in all n partial derivatives possible. Okay. Therefore, if I want to write down the total derivative of the given function, we have to include all these mn partial derivatives. All these mn partial derivatives, and we know whenever we have mn numbers in our hand, then the systematic arrangement to give those mn number is a matrix. You should give this in m rows and n columns, or n rows in m columns. Therefore, Jacobi has used this matrix method in order to define the total derivative of the given function. Okay, and that's why this is called as the Jacobian matrix. This is called as the Jacobian matrix. Let us see in detail. Okay, now till now we were using the notation TC for the function, for the total derivative of a function at the point C in v direction. Now instead of this TC, we will use T only. We will use the symbol T only. Okay. Also, we have seen that total derivative obtained in kth unit coordinate vector is nothing but f dash of c comma uk. Correct now? Last statement, last theorem we have seen. Okay. That is, total derivative is nothing but the directional derivative. But what is this directional derivative obtained in kth coordinate vector? Yes, what it will be? Is it the partial derivative?
Partial derivative.
Yes, it is the partial derivative. Therefore, one can write this as dk f at the point C. Okay, this can be written as dk f at the point C. Okay, now in order to express this as a linear combination of unit vectors, how can I write this function of the type f from Rm to Rn in terms of linear coordinates with respect to linear combination in terms with respect to unit coordinate vectors? Okay, let me write in detail. Let f be a function. Let f be a function with values in Rm which is differentiable at point C in Rn. At point C in Rn, and we will use the symbol T for f dash of C. Up to now we have used TC. Now we will use T only. Be the total derivative. Be the total derivative of f at C. Be the total derivative of f at C. Next, to find a matrix. Whether you understood why we are forming a matrix? To find matrix of T, we consider its action. We consider its action on unit coordinate vectors. Unit coordinate vectors. Why we will consider the action on unit coordinate vectors? Just now I told you, na? Because if we take its action on unit coordinate vectors, it will give us the partial derivative. And in the last theorem itself, we have seen that the total derivative can be expressed in terms of its partial derivatives. Okay. Therefore, we will consider the action of T on unit coordinate vectors u1, u2 up to un. Therefore, we can write by previous theorem the same statement I will write. T of uk is equal to f dash of c comma uk and is equal to dkf at the point C. Okay, now we will write to express this as a linear combination, as the linear combination of unit coordinate vectors E1, E2 to Em of m dimensional space Rm we write how we are writing the function itself. We write the function f to be an m tuple vector, say f1, f2, fm. Okay, where these are called as coordinate functions. Every function is called as a coordinate function. Okay, then how can I find out the total derivative dkf? Just now we have discussed, no? This is partial derivative of every coordinate function, dkf1, dkf2, so on up to dkfm, dkfn. But how many such a case we have? For k equals to 1 to, yes? How many values we have for such a k? With respect to how many variables? Yes, it is n. Because with respect to n variables, we were finding these partial derivatives. Correct, no? Okay. For whatever this t of uk we were finding, we were defining this as a dk f at the point C. Okay. May I write this as linear combination with unit coordinate vectors as I equals to 1 to n dkfic into ei. Is it okay? Why this is so? Because if we elaborate this dkfic into ei, let me show you. What is dkfic into ei? Summation, no? Summation. This is, sum is running over I. Therefore, this is dkf1c into e1. This is dkf2c into e2 and so on up to dkfnc into en. But what we know? We know the nature of this EIs. What EI is? EI is an n-tuple vector having unit at first place. Okay. E2 is an n-tuple vector having unit at second place. All rest are 0. Therefore, what this is together going to give me? Is it dkf1c, dkf2c, so on up to dkfnc. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Therefore, simply we were going to write this expression in terms of this summation. dkf1, this vector dkf1, dkf2 to dkfm, we are going to write in terms of summation. Is it okay? Therefore, T of uk is obtained like this. That is for k, no doubt this is for k equals to 1 to n. How many such a case we have? K equals to 1 to n. Therefore, every T of uk is given with respect to this summation. Therefore, this total derivative was tried to express in terms of a matrix, and the matrix is defined as, therefore, a matrix of T is given by, matrix of T is given by, how it is given by? This is M of T, matrix of T, and this is matrix dkfi at the point C. As we were writing any matrix A as Aij, no? If you write Aij, the value of I and j runs over the respective values of numbers of columns and numbers of rows. Similarly, here we were writing the matrix of T, M of T equals to dk FIC, and this is called as a Jacobian matrix. This concept was given by a mathematician Jacobian. That's why the name is given in his honor, that is Jacobian matrix. This is called the Jacobian matrix of F. Jacobian matrix of F at C, and is denoted by D F at the point C. Is denoted by D F at the point C. Let me write how the matrix is. D F at the point C. Okay. Let me just take a line. Okay, what is my first row? First row is partial derivative of f1 taken with respect to all the variables, right? Therefore, this is d1 f1 at the point C. Second entry d2 f1 at the point C, right? Continue. What is the last partial derivative? dn f1 at the point C. What will be the second row? Same with respect to function f2 now. d1 f2 at the point C. Next, d2 f2 at the point C. Continue dn f2 at the point C, and just continue to d1 f1 at the point. Oh, sorry, here it is d2, na? And what is the last? f1 f2 we were writing. Sorry. What should be a value here? It is d1. And the function is f2 I have written clear. Okay. This should be d1 f2 at the point C, d2 f2 at the point C. Now I am writing for the last function, that is mth function. d1 f1 fmc, d2 fmc, continue up to dn fm at the point C. Okay. Okay, the first row tells us partial derivative of f1 taken with respect to all the variables. Second row, partial derivative of f2 taken with respect to all the variables, and so on. Therefore, if we just observe, what is this first row? Is it gradient of f1 at the point C? What is gradient? We have seen in the last lecture itself, no? Gradient is partial derivative of the function with respect to all possible variables. What is the second? This is del f2c, and last one, this is del fm at the point C. Correct? Any difficulty up to this? Why the matrix was? Yes. Why the matrix was taken? Because to find out the total derivative, we have seen that the total derivative is expressed in terms of partial derivative, but we have in all m functions where all the derivatives should be taken with respect to n variable. There are in all mn partial derivatives possible. Therefore, just to make a systematic arrangement of all these mn partial derivative, Jacobian has given an idea to represent this in terms of a suitable matrix, because we know mn elements can be arranged in a systematic way in terms of a matrix. Okay, therefore here we have taken m rows and n columns in all. Therefore, we have covered all possible partial derivatives mn. Correct? Therefore, this is called as the Jacobian matrix, which is nothing but the total derivative. And every row gives us the gradient vector of every coordinate function. Okay. What about an entry in ith row and jth column or kth column? Can you tell me the entry? The entry in ith row and kth column. What will be the entry? Is
DIFK of C.
good. This is DIFK Is it di or dk? Ith row I'm asking, no?
DKFIC.
Yes, this is dk. Okay, na? In kth column, what will be the function? Ith row. What is the function? In first row, we have f1. In second row, we have f2. What about in ith row? It is fi. Correct. And the column we were selecting is k. Therefore, this is dk. This is dk fi at the point C. Is it okay? Therefore, this is the partial derivative of a coordinate function fi taken with respect to kth variable. Kth variable. Now the question arises, when we say that the total derivative exists. As we have seen that the total derivative is given with respect to this matrix formation, then one can say that the Jacobian matrix exists or is defined if all partial derivatives exist. Correct, no? If all partial. If one of the partial derivatives do not exist, can we write the Jacobian matrix? The Jacobian matrix df at the point C is defined at each point C in Rn where all partial derivatives dk fic exist. All partial derivatives dk fic exist. And what about every row? As we have discussed, every row is a gradient vector, no? Therefore, what about the kth row? The kth row of the Jacobian matrix is a gradient vector of which function? Is it of fk? And
Yes, ma'am.
And it is denoted by del fk at the point C. Okay. Can anyone tell me what is del fk at the point C then? Is it d1 fk at the point C, d2 fk at the point C, and continue till dn fk at the point C? Okay. Now we will try to understand what will be the possibility if we take a special case of m is equal to 1. M is equals to 1 means what? It's a real valued function, no? Instead of multi-valued, this will be a real valued function. Therefore, in a special case, then what this matrix becomes? Can anyone tell me? When f is a real valued function, that is m is equal to 1, then the Jacobian matrix yes. What is the effect on the Jacobian matrix if I take m equal to 1? That is, it is a real valued function for m equal to 1 only. How many rows do we have? M takes value 1 only. That is a real valued function. That is whatever here we have written f as f1, f2, fm. This is not. We have only f with us. We have only f. Therefore, may I say it will have only one row in this matrix?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct, na? Therefore, the matrix has only one row, and that row is nothing but the gradient vector of that function.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Therefore, in a special case, when f is a real valued function for n equals to 1, the Jacobian matrix is of only one row. Is of only one row. Therefore, may I write this DFC is nothing but del FC. Correct? If we have one valued real valued function. Okay. Let us again switch to a vector valued function. Then for a vector valued function, vector valued means f equal to f1, f2 to fm. We will try to understand how we can find out the total derivative, right? What is the total derivative? F dash of c operated on v. We have already seen that this is nothing but the directional derivative, and we have just now proved this is fk dash c comma v into ek. Correct? No? A equals to 1 to m. A equals to 1 to m. Previously we have written this now. Where we have written this? dk we have written actually. What is f dash of c comma v? This is actually f1 dash c comma v, f2 dash c comma v to fm dash c comma v, a directional derivative. Okay. Then how can I write this in terms of linear combination with unit coordinate vector? Is it true? This is a dot product taken with unit coordinate vectors. Is it okay? Let me just continue. Okay, and already we have proved in the previous theorem that this is equal to del fk at the point c dot v into ek as it is. Let me call it as statement number 1. This is by previous theorem. Correct? Now we have proved it in the previous theorem itself. Let me show you. Here itself we have written the summation vk dkfc, which is actually del fc dot v. Now I'm just going to interpret this as a vector. If we just multiply by the unit coordinate vectors, what it is going to result in? This is going to result into an m tuple vector, where what is the first entry then? If I run up the summation, this is del f1 no at the point c dot v, del f2 at the point c dot v, continue up to del fk at the point c dot v. Okay, before these are the called as the components. Thus, the components of f dash of c operated on v are obtained by taking dot product of the successive rows of Jacobian matrix with vector v. Any difficulty up to this? If you have, you can ask. Okay, students, do you have any difficulty? We are finding this total derivative. This total derivative is obtained by this vector, where in every vector we were considering the dot product of a gradient vector with respect to the a vector v. Okay. Now we will go for some examples if you don't have any kind of difficulty. Okay, let me just make you clear how to find out the derivatives of every different kind of functions. Okay, let me just write here. I just move to the next page. If you want to find out the derivatives of different types of functions, okay, the first type of function we were considering, the function is of the type R to R. Say, what is the nature of the function? R to R. That is, this is one variable real valued function. Correct? One variable real valued function. Okay, then what is the derivative now? In this case, derivative of a given function obtained at the point C. What kind of value we are getting? Whether we are getting a scalar or not. This is a scalar, no? That we have studied in our high school, in our higher secondary school, right? Next, let us switch to a function of the type Rn to R. Rn to R means this is multivariable real valued function. Multivariable real valued function. In this case, what will be a derivative? The derivative will be del fc. That is a gradient vector. That is a gradient vector. And what is the third type of function we have seen just now? Is of the type Rn to Rm. What is the nature? This is multivariable vector value. I hope all of you are getting me. This trick is useful for you for solving the example. This is multi-valued, multivariable. Oh, sorry, this is multivariable, not value. This is multivariable vector valued function. And what is the derivative? Derivative is in terms of a matrix called as Jacobian matrix. Called as Jacobian matrix. What is the order of this matrix?
M into N.
Yes, this is M rows and N column. M rows and N column. Okay. If it is a function of this type, this is scalar. Rn to R type, gradient vector. Rn to Rm type, then this is the matrix. Now, by looking at the examples, you have to decide what kind of derivative nature the function is going to possess. They were not going to ask you directly. Okay. So let us switch to examples. We switch to examples. First example. We will first take the examples of directional derivative. Find directional derivative of a function f of xy is equal to e raised to x sin y at point p 0 pi by 4 in the direction v1 minus 1. We have seen the directional derivative can be checked out at the given point with respect to the definition itself. But here, if it is asked to give the directional derivative at a particular point in the direction, we are going to make use of the trick. What is the trick? We have proved already that the directional derivative f dash of c comma u is obtained by del fc dot u. We have already proved this. No? Therefore, we not just in order to find out this, where here whenever we were finding this directional derivative, this u is taken to be a unit vector. This u is taken to be a unit vector. Okay, for how many points I have to find? First, I will find out the gradient vector. Then I will find its value at the point C. Then I will find out the unit vector. If it is not, and just we will take the dot product. We will take the dot product. Is it clear to everyone? How we have obtained this? By previous theorem we have proved it now. What is the statement we have written? Let me write the statement of a theorem. F dash of C operated on V is del Fc dot V, but we know this total derivative is also equal to directional derivative. Therefore, I am using this part. But whenever we were writing this, you should be taken as a unit vector in order to get the correct value. Is that clear to the students?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let us go stepwise. First, we will check whether the given vector is unit vector or not. If it is not a unit vector, we will convert it to unit vector. Then we will find out the gradient at the point C and we will just take a dot product. I will just write step 1. What we will find out in this? To find gradient vector. At point C. Correct? Now what is the nature of here? What is the nature here? It is of the type R2 to R, no? That's why the derivative is vector, gradient vector. What is del F? Is it d1F and d2F? It seems actually to be dou F by dou X and dou F by dou Y. What is F given to us? E raised to X sin Y. What is the derivative with respect to X? Partial derivative with respect to X.
E raised to X sin Y.
F is e raised to X. The partial derivative is e raised to X sin Y with respect to X. What is with respect to Y?
E raised to X cos Y.
Yes, this is e raised to X cos Y. Now we will find out the value of this del F at the point C. Okay. What is the point C given to us?
Zero pi by 4.
Yes, this is C equal to 0 and pi by 4. How can I get the value of this gradient vector at the point? We have to put x equal to 0 and y equal to pi by 4. Correct? If I put x equals to 0, e raised to 0 is 1. Therefore, we get these values as sin pi by 4 and cos pi by 4. What are the values of sin pi by 4 and cos pi by 4?
1 by root 2.
Yes, this is 1 by root 2 and 1 by root 2. The first point we have completed. We have found the value of gradient vector at the point C. Now we will go for finding the unit vector. Here you can write to find unit vector. In which direction it was asked us to find out the total derivative? In the direction V, where the coordinates of V are 1 and minus 1. Let me call this as 1, okay? 1 and minus 1. We will first check whether this vector is unit vector or not. How to check the vector is unit vector or not? We will find its modulus. What is the modulus value here? Under root 1 square plus mod of minus 1 square is equal to 1 square plus 1 square. 1 plus 1 it is root 2. Therefore, whether a vector V is a unit vector? No, it is not a unit vector. Then how can I find out the unit vector in this direction? Students, how can I find out the unit vector? No one is knowing. What is the point given to us? 1 minus 1, no? In which quadrant it is going to lie? Am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Fourth
Fourth
quadrant.
quadrant.
Fourth quadrant. Let me plot somewhere. Here is the point V. Right? 1 minus 1, no? Somewhere here is the point. And this is the length of this vector from the origin. This is not looking like a straight line, no? Let me take a line. Let me join. Okay. Then what is the length of this line? √2. But how much we want?
Unit.
Unit vector. Unit. That is somewhere here it is unit, say. Then what we have to do? We have to drag this vector u back to this position, say. Say if this is having a distance unity. If this is a distance with unit 1. Okay. Then we have to drag this vector v back to this position. Let me write the position to be u. How can we do this? If I divide the vector v, with its modulus, what will happen? What is the vector? 1 by √2 and minus 1 by √2, na? Okay. Now you can check whether this is of unit length or not. Student has to check this. Square of 1 upon √2 is half. Square of minus 1 upon √2 is also half. Half plus half, it is 1. Therefore, the length modulus of this vector is unity. Therefore, a unit vector can be obtained by dividing the given vector with its modulus. That is, dividing a vector by modulus means what? You can drag back this vector to the units position. Dividing by scalar means dragging the vector back to this position. Is it okay, na? Is the point clear
Yes,
to
ma'am.
everyone or not? Therefore, what is u vector I have obtained? 1 upon √2 and minus 1 upon √2, and this is my unit vector. Now, the last step we will follow to find out the directional derivative. Therefore, directional derivative of f at point P in direction V is f dash of at the point P in the direction V, na? How can we obtain this? Sorry, what is the point I have taken? P or C notation? In the example I have written P, and in the solution I have taken. Let us make it here only, it is C. This is C. Because we have a habit to use point C, na? Here also I want to make this as point C. What should I do here? This is C. In the direction U I want to write. Therefore, this is del FC dot U, correct? What is del FC? Value we have obtained 1 by √2, 1 by √2. What is unit vector we have obtained? 1 by √2 minus 1 by √2. What is the dot product of these two? 1 by √2, 1 by √2 is half. 1 by √2 into minus 1 by √2 is minus half. Therefore, the derivative we are getting 0. Okay. Therefore, f dash of C, comma, U we were getting 0. What is the meaning of the directional derivative is 0 at the given point in the given direction? Means the surface is of flat nature. There is no ups and downs in the surface. Is it okay? Any difficulty in the problem?
No, ma'am.
Now I think you can solve the remaining examples I will give for the homework of finding directional derivative of f of xy, say xy at point 1, 1 in the direction 1, 0. Is it a unit vector given to us? 1, 0?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is a unit vector. Let me give one more example. F of xy equal to x square y. The point is 2, 3 and direction is minus 1, 2. You have to take care of the directions only. Okay, whatever may be the example, you can solve, I think, now. Directional derivative. One I have shown you. Okay, let us proceed to the next example. The next example is number 4. Number 4 example is find d of fxy if f is defined as f of xy is equal to, yes, this is defined as sin x cos y. Who is taking an entry now? Almost lecture is finished. Who is entered just now? What is the nature of the function? What is the nature? 2 variable, 3 vector valued, na? So what is
R2
it
to
doing?
R3.
Yes, it is of the type R2 to R3. Right? If it is of the type R2 to R3, what is the derivative? What is the nature of the derivative? We have seen it's a
Jacobian
matrix.
matrix.
Yes, it's
In
a
the form of
matrix.
matrix.
Good. Therefore, how can I find out d of f of xy? Is in the matrix form. What is the matrix form? First row is the gradient vector of f1. No? How many partial derivatives are there? 2 partial derivatives because we have 2 variables. Therefore, this is d1 f1 and d2 f1. What is the second row? d1 f2, d2 f2. What is the third? d1 f3, d2 f3. What are the functions f1, f2, f3? This is f1, this is f2, and this is f3. Now let us find out the partial derivatives. One can find out the partial derivatives easily. What is d1 f1? You have to tell me the value directly. What is d1 f1? Partial derivative
Cos
of
x
this.
cos y.
Yes, it is cos x cos y. Second, partial derivative of f1 with
Minus sin
respect to
x
y.
cos
Minus sin x sin y.
sin y.
Minus sin x sin y. Next, entry d1 f2.
Cos x sin y.
Cos x sin y. And here it is sin x cos y.
Cos
No?
y.
Last,
Minus sin x cos y.
And here it is
Minus cos x sin y.
cos x sin. Okay, this is what your derivative is. Is the point clear to every student?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if the function is of the type R2 to Rm to Rn type, then we have to write it's a matrix form. Okay, and if it is asked to find out the directional derivative, you can find out the directional derivative. Right? Let me give you one more example for homework. Find d of f of xy. Find d of f of xy, where f of xy is defined to be x square y and cos y. What is the order of the Jacobian matrix in this case? What is the order of the Jacobian matrix in this case?
2 cross 2.
Yes, it is 2 cross 2. Okay. Now we'll go for one more example. Number 6. Compute gradient vector del fxy at those points in R2 where it exists. What is the nature of a function then? Gradient vector is asked. Therefore, as it is the function of two variables, domain is of the type R2 and this is a real valued vector. Right now, function f of xy is, first function is defined as x square y square log of x square plus y square xy not equal to 0, 0. Second is, it is defined as 0 for xy equal to 0, 0. Next, number 2 is f of xy is equal to xy sine 1 upon x square plus y square. Again, it is defined for xy not equal to 0, 0 and is equal to 0 for xy equal to 0, 0. What it is asked to find out? Only the gradient vector. Therefore, how can we find out the gradient vector? First example, let me solve. This is del f xy, no? First example is del f xy. What is del f xy? This is d1f and d2f. Okay? I think everyone can find the partial derivative of the given function. Therefore, I'll keep this to for the homework. Dou f by dou x you have to find. Dou f by dou y you have to find, and you have to put the values in the gradient vector, and you have to do for the same for the second function as well. Okay? Any difficulty in today's lecture?
No, ma'am.
Because the derivative nature is different. Therefore, looking at the function's nature, you have to check, you have to decide what kind of derivative is written. Don't worry about this example, though it looks difficult, but it is not difficult. Only you have to find out the partial derivatives of the function with respect to x and y. Okay? And we are expert in finding the partial derivative. Correct? No? But just find the partial derivative and find the values of the gradient vector. In the next lecture, we will go for the next point of the syllabus, finding the or describing the mean value theorem for multivariable functions, because we are familiar with mean value theorem of a real valued functions only. Let us stop for today. If you have the difficulties, you can ask me. It seems you are not having any kind of difficulty. Okay, let me stop for today then. Thank you for being with me for today's lecture.